Welcome to Sci-Fi Distilled. We're going to talk about The Fifth Element tonight.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Quarantine's Got Talent. The show where we miss you so much, we make you watch us do stuff. We try to entertain you.
Welcome, guys.
That maybe you'll come and play with us.
We're a couple minutes late, but apologize for that. Good old internet and technical difficulties. But I'd like to welcome my usual co-host, Mary Beth, and of course our special guest is Kent Schmidt, and we are talking about the classic 1997 film, The Fifth Element.
Leeloo Dallas Multipass.
Leeloo Dallas Multipass, right.
So let's start out with our toast.
Everybody have a cocktail?
To our poor friends who watch us.
I was going to do a whiskey sour, but I'm out of sour mix, so I'm whiskey.
I'm doing a glorious mix of orange triple sec, blue curacao, which is also orange, and Sprite. So this is very orangey, but so is Leeloo. So you know.
Well, there you go. Should I put up our drink of the day?
Yes, put up the drink of the day.
Okay, hang on. Give me a sec.
I suddenly turned yellow.
Drink of the day: the Floston Paradise. Gosling's Black Seal. That is dark rum. Haven's ginger liqueur and an ounce of pineapple juice. I made it. I would go more heavy on the pineapple juice if you like it sweeter. And then just put that over crushed ice. It's basically a dark and stormy, if you know what a dark and stormy is, with pineapple juice. Okay, that's on our page if you want to go refer to it. We'll get rid of that.
How did I turn yellow all of a sudden? I don't
know, Mary Beth. You have a drink problem. Perhaps your liver is shutting down and you have jaundice.
No, it rebalanced. Did you just see that color change? We're good.
Well, sometimes I've noticed you're purple, so, you know, I thought you had maybe like a filter on there that we didn't know about. So, Kent,
there's a glow about her.
You're our special guest.
Oh,
Tell us about The Fifth Element.
It's quite an interesting experience. It almost was Valerian because Luc Besson read Heavy Metal magazine his entire life, and Mobius and some other artists had a comic running called Valerian, which became the movie Valerian with Carla Delevingne and what's his name. Luke couldn't get the rights to it, so he went out on his own and kind of wrote The Fifth Element in that flavor. 2200s, futuristic Earth, crapsack world, but with some interesting flavors to it. So he couldn't get the rights to make what he wanted to. He made The Fifth Element instead, and then got the rights to do Valerian. So it's kind of a cycle, if you will. You can kind of sort of think that they belong in the same universe if you want to think of it that way. But
right. Now he actually was pitching this before he did The Professional, or Lyon as it's in France. But The Professional was a big hit in the States. You remember that was Natalie Portman's debut.
Yep.
As a very young girl. And
yeah, she was literally 12
it was the success of that film that really was able to get The Fifth Element made. He wanted to make The Fifth Element. He couldn't get funding for it, from what I understand. And then when he got some street cred, so to speak, in Hollywood with Professional, then they said, we're going to greenlight the Fifth Element. So it really was in the works as early as, I believe, 92. And it didn't get actually released until 97.
And knew he wanted to work with Gary Oldman again, because Gary Oldman was so spectacular in Leon that he wrote that part for him. Gary Oldman is a chameleon anyway. You give him a part and he disappears into it.
Absolutely.
He's one of the greatest actors of our age, and I say that all the time, and people go, "What?" But then it's like, that guy right there is Gary Oldman. You
start really listing off all the things that he's done, right? And you're like, he was this, he was this, he was this. I mean, everything. Even if it's a bad movie, if he's in it, his part is always great. You know what I'm saying? It's like, the reboot of Lost in Space in the late 90s. A lot of people hated that, didn't like it. It had some merits and stuff, but the shining part of it was his version of
Dr. Smith.
Yep. Oh, the pain.
Yeah, I mean, he was just great as he was a perfect Dr. Smith. So, and of course he's been Commissioner Gordon and You know, the list goes on with the characters. He was, I believe he was Dracula. I believe he played.
Yep.
He,
He was in Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Stoker's
He
Dracula
was-
with Winona Ryder. So I mean, yeah, he has a wide range. So he really, as what was it? Emmanuel Batista Zorg.
Jean-Baptiste Emmanuel Zorg.
Jean Baptiste. That's what it was. Jean Baptiste Emmanuel Zorg. What a
The
great
designer
name.
of the ZF-1.
Yeah, the ZF-1, right. So what is it about this movie that has made it a cult classic? I mean, I saw the trailer, you know, when it came out and immediately said, I want to see that movie, mostly because any big sci-fi production I was going to go see. But when I saw it, I fell in love with it almost immediately. And it's still one of my favorite films of all time. It just, to me, it was a lightning in the bottle kind of film. I mean, it just, so many things. The writing was so good. You know, they got actors that they put together for it all just gelled really well. The dialogue was good. There's funny in it. It didn't take itself too seriously.
That's it.
You know,
It's so odd. And at the same time, it hits some real biting social commentary that in the context of the joke, it slides by you unless you're focused on it. The sarcasm behind some of the set pieces, like the huge mound of garbage at the airport, that's a New York City garbage strike, writ large.
That was actually in the script and somehow didn't make it to the film.
What's that?
That was in the script that there was a garbage strike, but somehow it didn't make it to the film.
Yeah, well, they alluded to it, but
because she says, "Oh, I'm sorry about the garbage."
Yeah,
right.
So you kind of got that there's some kind of problem with that. Nobody's taking away the garbage.
Yeah,
and the fact that the McDonald's are still drive up, even though it's 57 stories up, and it's a fly up, not a drive up.
Well, you know, the city itself. Move my microphone out of the way. The city itself, you know, was really quite interesting because it was so alive. I mean, it wasn't like a city of the future that we've always see like in a lot of sci-fi where it's these kind of silver glass, you know, Emerald City kind of utopian
or dystopic like Blade Runner.
It was very alive. It wasn't as dark as it was much warmer than Blade Runner. There was people, you know, going and
still
doing
call it dystopic though, because you're living stacked on top of other people, on top of other people, and there's that underbelly where the fog is that nobody goes. So it's definitely not utopia, but it's not as crapsack world as Blade Runner, but it's close. I mean, that scape right behind you at night would be terrifying. Just looking across the street into somebody else's living room times infinity. Vertical trains that have to carry all those people, and the police cars that are heavily armed. And
I like the fact that the cab had an attack detection system.
Yes.
Why does a cab need a detection attack detection?
Yeah. Dallas, and his buddy who maintains his cab is one of his old war buddies.
Right. I mean, we kind of get that.
And the joke
maybe
about
that cab,
Corbin,
that cab wasn't standard.
Yeah, the joke about Corbin later on when the general comes to recruit him says, "You're the only one with the skills necessary," and he unrolls this sheet of paper. And it's like every vehicle and every weapon that he can use. It's this massive long list of everything he can use.
And of all the men in your unit, you're the only one to survive.
You're the only one left alive. Yep.
They're saying that it's just a looped video. We're not. I don't know.
No, I'm not seeing that.
You guys seeing live? It's not live yet, so there's no link to post. Oops.
Yeah, that was what you said before.
Maybe it's the wrong.
No, Dave says we're good.
Okay. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong, because we did start one and then stopped it. So
yeah. I'm looking at it.
Anyway, where were you? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, that's all right. Corbin Dallas and his military buddy who maintains his cab, and the fact that when you violate the known rules, points are automatically deducted from your license. And once you run out of license points, it won't let you drive the car anymore.
Yeah, and the funny part of that is like that I'm sorry, I'm trying to get my live feed going here so I can see the but the funny thing is that's probably not that far off when you think about it. Already we have the insurance companies wanting us to put in these little readers for your car's diagnostics to see how fast you're braking and accelerating, and it's not going to be a far leap in our future before the government's going to say, oh yeah, here we already see speed cameras in a lot of places and stuff like that. Now granted,
and on April 22nd at 6:52 you went 55 in a 45.
In a 45, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, we're almost there, and that's 300 years from now.
You have 5 points left on your license.
Right. Of course, it's easily defeated. All you have to do is rip the thing off of off the dashboard, and you can still drive. So apparently, it's very easily defeated.
I love the concept of the floating restaurants, the Chinese restaurants.
Yeah.
To me, that was very Blade Runner-esque, and I don't know if that was even a nod to Blade Runner because it was kind of that, because remember Blade Runner had a very Asian feel to it.
Oh yeah, and there's a scene where Decker goes to.
It was kind of great that he had this like Chinese junk that was flying, that the guy was in. I bet you lunch is good news.
Yes.
You've been fired.
You are fired.
So
yes, Roy, cheers. Thank you.
I don't know how he can go to as many places as he needs to do to make a living. From sun up till sundown, he must be cruising window to window selling lunches.
Especially if he's going to sit there and chit chat with everybody.
Yeah, he's sitting there chit chatting.
No time. Got to go to the next house. 10 minutes.
Right. But it was like I said, visually the movie was a feast for the eyes. I know it's almost very cliche to say that, but I mean there were so many visually beautiful. I mean, even when they get to Floston Paradise, just the grandness of that hotel, was
it's a
just
replica of
the old opera house.
Well,
who cares?
Well, the opera house, but I mean,
that's like a different set, but yeah.
But actually, I think I read when the basically the main foyer when they first walk in and she goes wow like that and she sees the windows and everything. That was actually Besson wanted when he had seen a drawing that one of the artists had done. I forget whether it was Mobius or the other guy, and I'm not going to try to pronounce their French names. Had done, and he's like, I want that, that grand kind of huge scale.
And that was the site of the
Lost Paradise to be this bigger than life.
Largest to that point internal explosion ever done on a soundstage.
Really? Yes, took them 20 something or half an hour to put the fire out afterwards.
Really?
Yeah. If you see in those extras, they show that from the outside, the smoke pouring out from the top of the soundstage. It's just
when
unreal.
Carmen throws the grenade up and sticks it to the moon, which is a great design for a grenade, by the way.
Yeah, with the spikes.
With the dial of time too.
It was kind of a modern version of a sticky bomb.
10.
They were making those in World War II. Which they just took a sock and put the grenades inside the sock and then wrapped and put axle grease on the sock.
Yep. So it stuck to something.
Pulled the thing and then lung it, and it stuck to tanks and stuff, and then boom.
Yeah. So we had a movie that was visually different from anything we'd ever seen before. I mean, it's strikingly different, and it had that quirky, offbeat kind of sense of humor.
Yep.
And it just, like Rizzo said, lightning in a bottle.
It's even like funny, like when the priest hits Dallas over the head with his own trophy, and Bruce Willis just like he does this like. It's so slapstick, but it was like he sold it so perfect.
Well, yeah,
they not laugh at that.
They got a serious actor like Ian Holm.
To
do that. It was and Sonny Liston as the president. Yeah, the boxer.
Yeah, I like that, and the whole thing with Corbin's mother constantly calling him.
Yeah.
I didn't push you out for 20 hours, so I could be left, I've left cold freezing on the moon,
Left me out of hold for 20 minutes. and the aide with the way he holds the telephone.
It's good. He's just like, the president's an idiot and you don't sound like an idiot. Isn't that paralleling?
And there's the attack detection behind you on the screen.
Yes,
So the
in
other
case
thing-
anybody noticed, I am running the film. I'm
Yes,
sure
we
I'll
can
get
see
a
it.
Assist order
So-
shortly from.
We have the incredible the visual, how visually striking it was. It's offbeat humor. The costumes and characters, all the characters were like over the top caricatures, and obviously Ruby Rod would be the number one of that. Although they all were like they were all kind of extreme caricatures, and then the way Jean-Paul Gaultier dressed them. And if you guys have been watching any of the extras, I know Rizzo has. They always show Chris Tucker saying, "Yeah, Jean-Paul Gaultier showed me all these designs for the Ruby Rod character," and he's like, "Look," he's in French. "Look, he's so beautiful. You like it. You look beautiful in this." And Chris Tucker's like, "No, I don't like it. I am not wearing that."
Chris Tucker did not like the outfits for Ruby Rod at
None
all.
of them, yeah.
But again, he sold that character. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, his name was originally Lock Rod, LOC Rod, and then they changed it to Ruby. I think because of input from Chris.
Ruby Rod works so much better.
Ruby
Well,
Rod.
Ruby Rod.
I know that Corbin Dallas's name was originally Zaltman Blaros, but Luc Besson wanted something a little more American sounding, and Dallas is about as American, I guess, as it gets.
Yep.
So that changed.
Yeah. I mean, clearly it was adapted more for American audiences, even though I think he knew that was going to be the audience that was going to really accept it. I mean, that's what he was shooting for. They wanted to make it an American film. He could have made it in France a lot earlier, but he wanted to make it in the United States. In the United States. So I think that's probably why. And sure, and I think it what?
And most of it was shot in Britain.
Well, a lot of it was, but I mean, it's sort of like the James Bond movies, but they're still American films.
They used for Bond.
Yeah. Yeah, their screenwriter like Kamen, Kamme, Robert Kamen. He wrote. The hell did he write? Hang on, I will tell you what he wrote. Because I have been writing this. I didn't write it down. He was like, "Hey man, like, so the evil thing, the sphere, Mr. Shadow, what is it?" And Luke's like, "It's just evil." He's like, "Okay, but what does it want? What is its motivation, as they say in Hollywood?" And Luc Besson was just like, "It's just evil."
You were never serious about the craft.
Right. What's its motivation? Acting.
What does it want? It's a rock. It doesn't want anything. Sorry, wrong movie, but I had to throw that in. We're gonna do Galaxy Quest. Don't worry.
We will do Galaxy Quest. Yeah, the movie wasn't fully formed. Really, like there are gaping plot holes, and yet it works. It just works.
Well, it's great that they did the evil as just. Mr. Shadow or whatever I guess is the only reference they made to him as far as the name, but that it was this nondescript. It was just a planet or whatever, a ball of evil,
primordial.
And that's all it needed to be. That's all it needed to be.
Yeah.
One of the subtle humor parts was like when the Mondoshawan starship comes up to the border, and it's a line of red lights,
and they ask permission.
And why not just fly over it or under it?
Well, how do you? What is there? Is there so many every so many million? There's another row of lights, so we have this ball of.
Nope, just the one line.
Just the one circle because we're very linear.
Yep.
Yeah. Very two-dimensional. We're thinking everything's on the galactic plane. That's
the Mandalores with their little Zord starships.
Yeah.
Zord builds those too, by the way. The Zord fighters.
Of course he does. He builds everything. Apparently, you get the impression that Zord pretty much runs, 90% of.
Yeah, he's running. Like everyone caught the cab, the fire. Fire. I was thinking of firing
$500,000. Yeah, and they
go
fire
smaller
1 million.
Companies, maybe the cab company.
Yeah. You saw that coming.
Oh, absolutely.
But
that was subtle too.
You had mentioned at one time even the cigarettes that were mostly filtered. The quarters of the cigarette.
Yeah, that's
he was only allowed 6 a day or something. It like comes down and that's all he's.
Yeah, he's only allotted 4.
Yeah, or something like that. Yeah, so it was kind of funny that. Do we have anybody? No questions or anything. If anybody has any questions, got just a lot of people saying hi. Hi everybody. Hey Scott, Mark. John and Sue. I never know which one, if it's both of you, but
So
okay.
John and Sue, just so people know, John and Sue asked if this was Romulan
Where's
ale.
Royce here?
This is
Dave,
Blue Lagoon. And so you guys know that Luc Besson made up that language, and he took words from all other languages, and plava in like Croatian and Serbian is blue. So her name, Plava Laguna, is Blue Lagoon. So I'm having a Blue Lagoon with orange in honor of the diva and Lilu.
Nice.
I'm just having some, it's just tropical pineapple juice and peach tree and blue curacao.
Yeah,
I can
mine's,
say her
And
full
some
name,
some uranium to make it glow.
there you go, make it glow.
I
I can say her full name was Liluminai Laktariba Laminachai Ekbate Sabat, and Ekbate Sabat is the honorific. That's like her title, and the rest of it is her name.
Wow, you get a cookie.
You get a cookie for
memorizing
being able to say that.
I had to work, I had to practice it.
It sounds better in its original Klingon.
Yes. Yeah, evidently, Milovovic and Bassan understood enough of the language to have conversations with each other in it,
Yes.
which I think was one of the ways that it ended up the way it went, which we're not talking about tonight.
Yeah, I mean, well, that was Mila's one of her, I believe it was like her debut film. She was a model before that, and I think that was, if she's done anything prior to that, it wasn't certainly a major motion picture.
No.
But I give her credit because she really nailed that. I mean, she was babbling away in that language pretty fluently. I don't know how many takes they had to do, especially in the cab scene where she's babbling it and then she does the bada boom bit. Big bada boom. But I have to give her credit for that. Of course, she went on to do the Resident Evil series, which is was pretty commercially successful.
Yeah, super successful.
Or not, but she pulls off the martial arts stuff pretty well too.
Yeah, she can do that super well too. Although a lot of people criticize that the Alice character in Resident Evil is more not stoic, but like Lilu was like alive and funny and she was expressive and stuff, and Alice is just kind of
her joy when she rehydrates the chicken from the pill.
Yeah.
Oh, the chicken?
Yeah, she puts the chicken on the plate and then rehydrates it, and damn, it's a chicken, and she's like, chicken.
Chicken, good. I have to admit, I can't eat chicken without like literally being like chicken good.
Yeah, you get those pre-cooked ones from Wally World, and it's like ding chicken.
Every time you pull out your license, it's Lilu Dallas Multipass.
Lilu Dallas Multipass. We were gonna drink every time we said that, but we've failed.
That's true. That was gonna be our game.
That was gonna be
I
our
don't
game
want to die of
tonight.
alcohol
Multipass. You have to drink.
But that's a really good point about this movie. So we are a society that quotes movies to each other all day. We could probably have an entire conversation, not unlike Damark and Jalad at Tanagra. We could probably have an entire conversation just in movie quotes, and this thing is rife with movie quotes. Like so many things that you just find yourself saying over and over and over again. And Lilu Dallas Multipass is obviously one.
Multipass.
No. Because if it was a bomb, there would be a bomb detector, because there's bomb detectors in all of these hotels.
Which is like the beginning part was like, you want to play it soft? We'll play it soft. You want to play it hard?
We'll play it hard.
Yeah.
I was there when she landed.
Yeah, that and even.
Oh, but wait, Zorg going not 1 or 2 or 3, but 4 stones.
I just love it when he's in the ship and he's going
we
back.
are warriors, not merchants. He's like, but you can still count.
Oh, so
And
now
that
you're a
accent.
businessman.
That
The
accent.
accent.
Combination between Southern and New York and who knows what.
Well, it's funny because I love the part. Like, one of the things my wife will quote this all the time is when he's going back to the Floss in Paris. I realize that he's like, I'm disappointed. I'm very disappointed. He's like, he's going.
They're not here.
Disappointed.
Yeah, she's telling Corbin about the stones, and he opens the case and goes, "They're not here."
Which cracks me up. It's like, after all he's been through, you think he would have looked in the case before he left.
Before he took it, yeah.
It was like the scene, like he's going in the elevator, they're coming out of the elevator, they literally just pass like within a half a second of each other. It's kind of funny.
Apart. His desk, Zorg's desk, with the shirt dispenser and the paperwork dispenser and the water dispenser and the fruit bowl and the little creature. And the desk tells him whatever he takes off the desk.
Right.
Yeah.
He picks up a glass of water, it goes, a glass of water. He picks up a cherry, it goes, a cherry. I think it's
wonderful
on the shopping list.
That whole monologue.
Yeah.
About how destruction is actually good for society. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And he has a point, because if you look in history, after we have wars, there's usually
that's our greatest regrowth, right?
But it's really not the preferable way to advance humanity.
But it is responsible for a huge amount of advancement. The scientific aspects of warfare translate directly into our society. We wouldn't have gotten to the moon had it not been for World War II and the German scientists trying to build better bombs.
Right. Hey, Kent, Steve Peelock has a very good point. You're not wearing any tie-dye.
Yeah,
I am. You just can't see it.
Oh, it's his underwear, Steve. That's what it is. And
wait.
That.
There we go.
Oh, all right. He has a tie that's tie-dye.
That's my tie-dye lanyard.
Oh,
I'm a VIP.
Oh, my favorite meat popsicles. That is not gonna work. You need to have tie-dye on.
No.
Your favorite?
You classified as I am a meat popsicle.
I am a meat popsicle.
How many times we use that? That's another line we use quite a bit.
It is, absolutely. The dude with the hat. The hat, it's the picture of the hallway.
Yeah.
He stands outside the monitor. I saw somebody dressed that way at a con.
Really? Just walking around
with the hat. Did he have the hat?
He had the hat. The only thing he didn't have was a gun, but that's right, because he had the hat.
Yeah, that was a good one.
I laughed for a good 15 minutes just thinking.
But just that scene's another one of my favorite scenes, and it's just a minor scene. It doesn't forward the plot at all.
No, super minor.
Other than maybe you show that Corbin has kind of got some military background. But he's just like, the guy's clearly like strung out on he's like tweaking on some kind of drugs.
Yeah.
Concentrating on pushing the button.
Yeah. Like what that actor do with it. And then Corbin, and then Bruce is like, nice hat. And the actor's like, you like it? Like just the way they took it is so funny.
And the big what was it that the pants, and he's got these like those big baggy pants.
Yeah, and then he's doing a little dance.
MC Hammer pants.
Yeah, MC Hammer. That's what I was trying to think of. The MC Hammer pants. So.
Yeah, that's good stuff. And his apartment, the bed gets a new covering of plastic every time, right? The shower is on top of the refrigerator.
The refrigerator, yeah.
The refrigerator sinks into the floor, and then that's your shower. The bed slides out from under the wall, but it's got a new plastic wrap on it. So you have to strip off the plastic wrap every night when you want to lay down. And if you slide into the bed with somebody on it, they get wrapped in plastic. It's hilarious.
Auto wash.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff that was pretty funny. Even the cat with the crossed eyes. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of stuff in Rotten Brain. He's watching Ruby Rod there on the TV, I think.
But see what I mean? It was a fully fleshed out, fully lived in universe. It was fully created. All the details were there. And that's what allows us to just step right in. And we don't have to even think about it, We're just like,
all of the airline stewardesses are all multiracial with freckles.
Oh, the casting. Actually, the whole cast were gorgeous and interesting and multi-ethnicities.
Well, like not only were they, but they all were like, had the blonde wig. You know what I'm saying? Their hair was all the same.
Oh yeah, they all had the same blonde
wig.
And
it's interesting because that goes back to, and Roy will probably back me up on this, goes all the way back to Jerry Anderson and Sylvia Anderson and his wife, because she was a big fashion on the UFO. If you remember on UFO, those who remember that TV show, on the moon base, all the women had this silver outfit on and purple wigs.
Yep.
The reason she felt that was part of the uniform. People were like, we're always wondering why did the women have purple wigs and none of the guys had to wear purple? Why just on the moon? That was the moon base uniform. So here we are, 20, 30 years later, and they're
All
picking
the
up that same
stewardesses.
kind of concept where part of the uniform is this blonde wig.
Yeah.
Dan, why do you have so many stewardesses on a plane where you instantly fall in your seat?
Where you're going to sleep the whole flight and not need
The
anything,
whole flight.
theoretically.
Yeah, you don't need any stewardesses.
It doesn't say how long the flight is that they need to sleep.
It must have been a
Boston
union
Curtis,
thing.
but-
No, they just don't want to hand out food and drinks on the flight, so they zap you to sleep, and then you wake up.
It's funny because he said, the one guy said, well, I'll be in Floston in under 4 hours.
Right.
And you figure,
It's
so the
not a-
flight
it's
is
not a
maybe
long
like
trip.
2 hours. And Corbin
You
coming back
really
said
need
it's
to
like 2
sleep
hours.
for 4 hours? They just didn't want to.
Yeah, so
Think
why
about
bother going to sleep for a 2-hour flight?
Because they don't want to feed you or interact with you at all on the flight. You're cargo. They put you to sleep and you wake up at your destination. The stewardesses don't have to do a thing.
That's one interpretation. We also, my thinking, being the science fiction-y person, I look at it more as light speed requires you to be in some kind of suspended animation or something like that. Maybe. I don't know.
Pilots aren't.
But what about the what about the pilots?
We don't know what
and the
happened to the pilots.
stewardesses?
We just saw. We don't know the pilots. We don't know if the pilots were
And the
awake. Maybe they go
stewardess
into
was
some
busy
kind
being
of.
serviced by Ruby, so they have to sleep.
Yeah, did Ruby sleep eventually, or was he just awake the whole?
You're buying the whole Fifth
Was he
Element
just
thing.
up
Ken.
the whole flight?
Suspension of disbelief at this point. I don't know. I'm just throwing
Yeah,
shit
I
out.
mean, yeah,
Like
you
I
just
said, it makes perfect sense to me that they just don't want to deal with the passengers. You get in your thing, you go to sleep, you wake up at the destination, and all they got to do is show you the door. It's the perfect stewardess
the
gig.
perfect. Yeah, I believe the airlines would be adopting it now.
I think it's just a union thing. Saying we're not paid enough to deal with people for 2 hours, so we only deal with them on and off. So. that's it.
So we've got this multi-ethnic, gorgeous cast, all of them. And then we've got Eric Serra who's doing the music, and the music is from all over. The cab chase is this Algerian thing.
Yeah, I love
and
that.
We've got
music
the
in
opera,
car chase.
which is a real opera called Lucia de Lammermoor. And then we've got the Hawaiian hula thing going on when she like the music is across the board.
There's techno.
There's techno. There's
but it all
little
works.
strains of jazz, like when she comes out of Ottawa, there's like a little bit of jazz going on there.
But I mean,
and
it all
the one
just
over the closing credits is just
it all works. That's the thing.
And it
you
works.
know, you don't look like why are they jumping around in musical genre? It just works.
Oh, Chris Rousseau has the answer to the wigs. He says that Sylvie Anderson said in an interview the purple wigs were part of the uniform. Oh, they're talking UFO. Okay, never mind.
Yeah,
that's what I said.
I thought he was talking about the white blonde wigs from.
Well, no, I'm just making the connection. It could have nothing to do with one doing with the other.
Oh, it's very similar.
They just look cute. I mean, it was yeah.
So
and the lackadaisical attitude of the ground crew. When
the stoner ground crew. Let's not even call it lackadaisical. The one guy was like definitely smoking the ganja man.
But they're dealing with nuclear fuel.
Yeah.
And they're just shoot. Yeah. All right, hit that. All right.
Heat in here, man. It's me.
And those little creatures, they're we used to have one. The kids had one. It's a wiggle ball.
It shakes.
Yeah, little weasel. They're like little weebles. I don't know what the hell they were.
It was a ball with rubber points on it, and it would just dance around.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a big heavy weight in it that spins around.
Right.
They put tentacles on it, and
I just think it's funny that these giant, these are the parasites of these things that infest.
They're visible. Yeah.
I have to rescue my dog's ball.
And that, sorry, Mary, that was.
Hey, this is a family show. Okay.
The wiring harness in Ian Holmes' character falls out of that wiring cabinet.
Yeah.
It's just two enormous.
Oh yeah, when he opens
harnesses.
it, yeah.
Yeah, the big wire loom that he's hanging from. Are we there yet?
Are we there yet?
Oh my God.
Looks so much like a Concorde.
Yep.
Yeah, it did look like a Concorde.
So yeah, a little bit. What are, as our viewers, what did you guys like about? So you can post up and we'll talk about what things that you liked about the movie or
everybody get typing. What was your favorite part?
Key scenes that you enjoyed about the movie, or what it is that you remember about the movie. So sad she didn't make it to season 2. Oh, what?
How about Sylvie Anderson, the costumer from UFO?
UFO was a good show. You need to cover that one, Roy.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I love Straker's car.
Yeah. Well, there's two of them in the show. I don't want to get off
Right.
topic, but there were two of them that were very similar. One brown and one was like a white.
Yeah, I like the
light
brown
blue
one.
or something.
I wanted that car so bad when I was a kid.
It was pretty cool.
We can talk about the diva while we're waiting for people to type their favorite parts. I know that so that was Mai Wen, or Mai Wen Besco, usually just Mai Wen. And that was Luc Besson's wife at the time, but she worked really hard for that little tiny role. She's on screen for like 4 minutes, but I know she knew she was not singing it. Like she knew she wasn't singing it, but she studied singing anyway because she wanted to, she knew she was going to pantomime it, lip sync it.
Right.
She wanted to breathe correctly. So it looked real. And when she came out on stage, it was the first time anyone in the cast had seen it. So the very first time they shot it and she comes out, all the cameras.
Right, the curtains opened up was the first time the rest of the cast saw
So
her.
he shot the audience first so he could get their reactions. And she performed it, the whole thing, top to bottom. And he just shot the audience to watch their reaction. So when they look astonished, they're genuinely astonished. It was their first time seeing her. When they get up and clap at the end, they are genuinely clapping for her. For her, she said it was a really, really magical moment. She really enjoyed doing it. She didn't want to do it at first, but she ended up really enjoying doing it. And she was a little bit sad when she saw the final movie and she saw that the performance was intercut with the Lilu's fight scene.
Right.
She was a little bit
Which
sad about that.
thematically I thought was really cool.
Yes, very cool. It worked.
Yeah,
But Mai Wen was sad about it because she'd worked really hard on that.
Right. No, yeah, she wasn't happy that he cut it up. She wanted, but
yeah.
But from a viewer point of view, exactly.
Yeah,
it worked so
it
well.
totally worked.
It just,
The
with her fighting,
Yeah.
and even the fight scenes, with her, she's kind of doing this stuff when she's going to punch the guy and she ends up punching the one behind her.
Yeah.
It's almost like a Stooges kind of a thing going on,
She takes the axe blade and the guy looks down at the axe blade like, whoops.
Yeah. So there's this constant thread of humor through the whole movie.
Yeah.
Even though there are serious parts to it, but it never ever at any point, I don't think, takes itself too seriously. Even when they get to the very end and he has to kind of profess his love to her to get her to stop.
Activate. Now, you and I talked about this, Rizzo.
Yeah, you're wrong.
No, I'm not wrong. I'm the co-host. I can be right.
My show, man.
Oh, fine. I think the fifth element is love, not necessarily Lilu.
All right. We're gonna put this to the.
Put a poll out.
I think
what Kent is saying is that the fifth element is actually love. So we have earth, fire, water, wind, and love. I say no. That she's just the fifth element, that she's what brings all those four elements together, and that love was, she needed to know that there was a reason to save humanity, and love was her reason.
I agree with Rizzo.
Not an incarnation of love.
She's a trained weapon. From just cells of her body, they regenerated her, and she was able to kick Corbin Dallas's ass. Right? She's a living weapon. She had to learn love in order to be fully activated. She could have stood there as soon as they regenerated her. She could have stood there and it wouldn't have worked. She had to know that love was there to activate her as the fifth element. That's my feeling on it.
Okay, I still don't think you're right, but we'd have to get Luke to I mean,
she said I was built to protect. But she said I was built to protect, not to love.
Yeah, and also,
so I don't think she even knew she wouldn't think, oh, I need love to activate her to trigger.
Go back to when they were reconstituting her, and the scientist said, she has how many memo groups? She has like 20,000.
All the DNA, yeah.
Whatever, and he makes comment that she has all this knowledge already built into her DNA. So she came out. That's why when she came out, she knew how to talk. She knew how to do all this stuff. She just wasn't current because when she was put to sleep in her little coffin thing, it was 5,000 years ago. So she needed to just catch up. But she never knew love because she was generated. But I don't think she was an incarnation of love to shoot the thing. I just agree with that.
They may have used her before. They may have used
we don't know.
Before. We don't know.
The same one or
was
somebody else.
The first time she was used?
Remember, the other thing is also, engineered.
She's not the only thing that can stand in the middle of the dais. If Mr. Shadow had stood there, the weapon would have still gone off, but to dire purposes.
It would've
Right,
been
it would have
perfect.
had because they
So,
say if
love
evil
is not
stands there.
necessarily part of the weapon to make the weapon work. Well, to make it work in our favor, obviously it was, but not
Well,
to make
that's
it
what I'm
work.
saying. If evil stands there, you get evil. If love stands there, you get love. You get light. The it's the classic yin yang thing, but I felt that if she hadn't been humanized by love, it wouldn't have worked the way they thought it would.
Thank you. My wife says love isn't an element.
This is right.
Voodoo's not an element either.
So Dave's agreeing with you. Sue and John rather are agreeing with you.
Ha! See? Which Dave? Dave Gallagher?
Dave Lafredo.
Alfredo.
Oh, all right.
Jamie Fez rather is saying activated. She is as an android. I don't know if that's one way or the other.
Well, she was constructed.
And Pilak says the ribbon outfit is his favorite part.
Oh, jeez. Of course he would.
It just took love to activate the fifth element. That's what I'm saying. It might have taken love to, I don't think it was love that activated her. She just needed a reason. Because he kept saying, that's my thing is she needed a reason to save humanity or save the
Right,
whole
but they could have dragged her into that spot.
because she saw war and she was like, why all you people do is destroy things. Why should I save you? All you do is destroy. And he's like, no, there's a lot of good things in the world. Like what? Like love. And she's like, yes. He's like, yeah, love's a good one. And she's like, okay. He's like, tell her. And he's like, I love you. Okay. There's a good reason. He loves me. I'm going to save the universe. So that's why I don't think it was
It
love.
could be a trigger maybe, but I don't know.
I think she just needed a reason to do her job.
Yeah, I think
she was upset. She didn't see a reason to save anybody when she saw all the war and destruction.
Yeah.
Remember, because she hits W, war, and you see it in the last thing is the atomic bomb going off, and he's crying and because of all the people dying. So, all right, we'll put a pin in that.
Yep, because that's going to be an ongoing discussion for another time.
I don't know until we can get Luc Besson on here and tell us what exactly he meant by that.
Well, that's why
I will not concede the point.
That's why I was hoping Gallagher was on, because he and I had that discussion, and he agrees with me, or did. And he's a writer, a real writer.
Oh, Dave Galanter.
Yeah.
Oh, Gallagher. I'm like, Gallagher. Who the hell is Gallagher?
Galanter. I don't know how he pronounces it.
We need to start inviting these guys. Dayton could come. They could all come.
Oh, yeah.
So
the themes, love conquers all, right? The future is going to be as weird in its way as the current time is weird in our way. Things don't change. Mankind is going to be mankind forever, regardless of whether or not there's aliens. The opera was beautiful. Those are the themes, I think.
I think another thing I pulled away from it, and this is kind of from at least from his vision of the future, is I think he's probably more on point than we know. I mean, I'm not saying we're going to have flying cars in cities that are stacked up, infinite, and we're going to have light speed and be able to go to vacations on Waterworld. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is the way things are, as far as humans being humans, there's still going to be problems. There's still going to be assholes in the world. You know what I'm saying? And I think
procedures.
There's still going to be. I think we're going to see that in 300 years. I don't see humanity changing that much. If anything,
no.
I mean,
which brings us back to Babylon 5, because same thing. 230, 250 years in the future, mankind still is doing the same crap that we're doing now.
There's no miraculous altruism.
Right.
We're just
and as much as I love Star Trek, we got to get it in. And Roddenberry's vision, I think he's completely wrong about what we're going to see in 300 years. I just don't see humanity improving itself unless there is some massive breakthrough with medical, and we can, like say, something happens and we can provide for everybody.
Let's have a shout out to David, who's on the screen now. That poor little associate priest doesn't want to go to Egypt.
I don't want to go to Europe. And then he's like, I don't want to go to Egypt.
I don't want to go to Egypt.
It was another thing I'm sorry, was that the end of your thought?
No, I'm just saying he gets a shout out because he's there the whole time.
Well, I thought it was, Luke Perry gets like this top billing, and he's in the thing for what, like 10 minutes? Not
The
even.
first 10 minutes, not even.
I always thought that was kind of funny. It's like Luke Perry. I'm like, he was in it for like 10 minutes, and all he did was, but Professor, they killed the professor. No, no, he didn't.
Much
That's
better.
like
Thank
his
you,
whole thing. Aziz Light, yeah.
Aziz Light.
Aziz Light.
That's a line that it gets used a lot.
Aziz Light.
Thank you, Aziz. That's much better.
Thank you, Aziz. Much better.
I do that all the time.
You know, another thing is I didn't get, maybe I just missed it in the beginning when the Mandajawan, whatever the hell, and he gets stuck and his hand gets crushed in the closing.
Oh, shit. So he's still in there, right?
Why didn't he just open the thing? Just stay there a minute. I'm going to reopen it again.
Oh, unlock it again.
Yeah.
And then when David got there and David opens it, is it still standing there? Like,
No,
yeah, that's what I was wondering. Is there a dead, like, desiccated Mandajawan on the other side of the door?
His cult has been to the temple between now and then. That's how they know the key works.
Remove the body.
Well,
why didn't he just reopen the door?
Because the ship had to leave.
With the stones. They had to get the stones away.
Yeah, but I mean, it wasn't like there was no threat other than the idiot with the gun.
No, there was no immediate threat besides Luke Perry waving a gun around, which really
and I don't think that they didn't look like he was much threat to him.
There was about to be a world war happening on that spot.
Yeah, but not right.
Egypt was heavily involved.
Yeah, but I mean, that was 1914. I mean, it wasn't going to happen that in the next 30 seconds that it would have took to open the door again.
Yeah. It's in the script.
I'm not making, believe me, it's a minor little snag. I'm not killing the movie because of that. These are the things that run through my head when I'm watching, going, why didn't they just open the door again? But maybe the door, once it was here's my explanation for it. When he shot the gun, it set off some kind of security system that locked down the room.
Right, for X number of years.
For who knows long. There you go. That's my answer.
That's your answer.
There you go.
Yeah,
I was able to justify it.
Strack reminds us
out of my butt just as well as Kent can.
Yeah.
What?
Strack says don't let logic get in the way of the story planes, and he's right. This like not unlike Red Dwarf. This is not a movie to be logicked. Just enjoy it for what it is. Just roll with it.
It's eye candy.
It's eye candy.
It is. It is. Like I said, it is a very visually stunning movie overall. I mean, if nothing else, it's a.
Everyone was beautiful. Even Agnot, whatever his name is, when he wasn't in Mandalorian form, when he was in human form, did you guys notice him? He was gorgeous.
Yeah.
I'll take your word for it. I'm not really into
the really good looking guy. He was a waiter.
Yeah, he was. I could see that as that wasn't like went through my head like, oh, what a lovely.
Yeah, you were too busy with
black man at it.
I'm noticing.
Oh, that makes me moist. I'm telling you that Mandalorian guy.
No, Mangalore,
whatever.
Mandalorian.
Not 1 or 2 or 3, but 4.
Oh, yeah.
We are warriors, not merchants, but you can still kill.
Yeah, that's by far Zorg is the best character on that.
By far, Zorg is the best character.
Yep.
He's just.
It's just the whole movie, right from the top to the end. Like later on, when he goes in and shoots him, where did he learn to negotiate like that? Just like, oh, yeah, he's going. I wonder.
And the general is like, oh, I didn't teach him that.
Yeah.
I love it when he's like, and she's gonna be your wife, and it's this like giant Russian woman.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, he's what? What's the matter?
Princess Leia buns, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she had like
it's built like the refrigerator they shoved her into. Now, were they dead? No, because the general showed
up. Because
it does imply because he comes out frozen.
Solid.
We, of course, maybe in the 300 years we can frost somebody out that was frozen solid and have them.
Yeah.
Fine, so literally build somebody from scratch, from a few cells.
That's true.
It's basically the 3D printing of in.
And what's his name? The general, Brian is his last name.
Yeah, his name is Brian.
Always good.
Oh, the actor's name?
But he usually plays much more. This was one of his few comedies, and he was brilliant at it. Like, he was good.
He does stoic soldiers and baddies really well. But he did this one just the right edge of humor and.
Brian James.
All the people in your unit, you're the only one left alive.
Yeah, Brian James with an O. And it's spelled Brian with an O, right? Yeah.
Brian with an O, correct? Yeah.
Brian, yeah, or Brian.
Yeah, I think it's whatever it's pronounced, but yeah, he's been in a ton of stuff, and he always see that was one of the more comical roles, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, that and like the president of the Federation guy, he
Yeah,
pulled
his
it
name was
off.
Tommy Tinney Lister.
Tommy Lister.
Tinney.
He was actually for real blind. Like, I don't know if you noticed, one eye was different. He was for real blind in his right eye
But because he was a boxer and he got hit.
because he was a boxer and he got.
Yeah, I'm just looking to see if there's anybody else that we've.
Ian, we talked about him.
Yep.
You
The
there's not a lot
henchman,
of
Zorro's
characters.
henchman was a rapper named Tricky, but I was not familiar with him at all. He must have only rapped in Europe. I don't think he
yeah, well, he had a British accent, so my guess
Yeah,
is
he had a
he's
British
probably
accent,
not.
yeah.
He probably wasn't well known.
And there's not a huge number of named characters in this. There's Lulu and Dallas. There's the priest and his assistant. There's the president. There's the general.
like a scientist, maybe.
They didn't even really name the guy. There was the kind of the nerdy guys. It's kind of like, oh, we have a problem.
Yeah.
all the background dudes. But
Yeah.
there's not a lot of central characters in this.
No.
The casting was super interesting. For the Mangalores, they sculpted the Mangalore head with the ears. And you guys notice it had a super sloped forehead. Like the forehead went back this way. And then they realized, oh my God, we actually need to find actors with sloped forehead. Like they put it in the casting call. We need you tall, broad shoulders, tiny hips, and you must have a sloping forehead to get into these Mangalore heads.
I couldn't do a
The other
casting.
ones, they needed people who were 6'9" to fit in the Mondachewans.
Right.
Waddle
And those
in
were
these
full
big-
articulated. That brings up a point. The Egyptian kids, before the ship even opened, the Egyptian kids were mocking the walk of the Mondashawans.
Yes, they were.
They were walking like the
they were doing
Mondashawans
it.
before the Mondashawans even show up.
Yeah.
How
Well,
did they know
we
that?
could assume that they had been there before, and that, remember, this is only 1914, so prior to that, these Egyptians may have seen them and didn't really, thought they were Egyptian gods or something. They didn't.
Yeah, that's certainly possible.
I don't know.
I noticed that on my first viewing of the show, and I went, "Huh, they're walking really funny." And then the Mondashawans come out, and it's like, "Oh."
Yeah. The one kid grew up to be an Egyptian soccer star, and that's all I know about that. The rest of the kids, I don't know nothing.
Aziz was a soccer star.
No, I thought that particularly he had a really
The
distinct.
the kid that brought the water,
Oh,
Did they
yeah,
name
yeah.
Maybe.
The
the
water
one that we originally, the first character we really see is that kid as he comes up
running across
and he
the
meets
desert.
the other kids that are sitting there, and he kind of runs in and
Then he notices Aziz is falling asleep on the reflector.
Jeez, light. So just time check. It is 7:55, 7:54, 7:55. We will be wrapping it up pretty soon.
We can just keep talking.
We could just.
Yeah, I
keep
mean,
talking.
we're not necessarily, we don't have to. I mean,
Yeah, that's true. If you guys need to go, just go. And when we realize there's no viewers left, then we'll just stop talking.
No, we'll just keep talking because we had a good time last night.
we'll just keep talking because we just like talking. I was joking earlier about this show that we miss you so much we make you watch us, but really we really would like all of you to join us. If anyone has a show that they want to talk about that they love best, put your little paw in the air and let us know.
While we're doing that, now I'm certainly not wrapping up the conversation, but I do want to say that next week, here we are, we're doing Flash Gordon, the 1980
Oh, nice.
Flash Gordon. We'll have Roy Belquist will be our guest speaker, and
Be with us.
bust out your Queen and your best Freddie
Oh,
Mercury.
I love that soundtrack.
And we're going to talk about Flash Gordon, another one of my favorite films of the 80s.
Max von Sydow.
And
Max von Sydow will always be Ming.
Yes, I can give you a little sneak peek. We do have Fez, Bruce, and Dave lined up the next couple weeks after that, and we'll be letting you know what they're going to be talking about soon too. So there's still so much good stuff to talk about. We have not done Buckaroo Banzai. We have not. What was there? Oh, hey, you guys, can we do Big Trouble in Little China?
Oh, yes. I'm on for that one.
Because we're going to do Last Starfighter. We're getting people lined up for that. There's so much great TV and movies out there that we could be talking
Hitchhiker's
about.
Guide. just, and if there's anything you guys want to hear us babble about or you're an expert on,
Heavy metal.
Heavy
heavy
metal.
metal is
Well,
definitely on my list. No question about it. Lots of good stuff to talk
Dave
about with
says
that
X
one.
Files. I know Rob Barnes asked for X Files too.
Yep, X Files.
That's huge. X Files is huge. We might need multiple guest hosts for X Files because that's like 9 seasons of just and 2 movies.
Yeah, that is a pretty vast to talk about.
Oh, Pelog. Yeah, Pelog's one's Forbidden Planet. That's more of a Roy one because Roy's doing 6 seasons.
Well, we were talking. Me and Roy were talking at one point that we may do that as like a joint kind of a because
maybe
a crossover episode.
Crossover episode. That's what we're gonna do.
Both of our year ranges that we set up, so we figure maybe we'll just share that one rather than do 2 shows of the same thing. So, Forbidden Planet is certainly a great one to do. Lots to talk about.
I still have bad dreams about the It monster.
Well,
yeah,
drugs for that now.
Fez says Empire Strikes Back. Yeah, we might do Star Wars as a whole, as a big giant whole. The first 3. And Fez, I don't know that we do the Karate Kid because that's not sci-fi exactly.
Yeah, and that's not really sci-fi.
But hey,
On, wax off.
So what? Black belt? Yes, JCPenney, $6.99.
Yeah. A good film. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of good films in the 80s and 90s that are not science fiction. I mean, if you're going to go that route, you go Fish Called Wanda. You could go,
Fish Called Wanda.
We're not out of sci-fi stuff yet.
Come to kill me.
Oh, guys, we only know 2 languages: English and bad English.
The show with Scott Bakula, that's my wife. That was Quantum Leap, honey.
Quantum Leap.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good TV. A lot of good
Quantum
TV
Leap
in the 90s.
Good. Sliders is another one that was classic in the 90s, which was a good show. Off the rails towards the end, but
Farscape or Lex.
Farscape is definitely we got to do Farscape.
Lex is hard to talk about because that's an adult.
Yeah, Lex is grown up. Yeah.
What?
Lex.
Oh, Lex. Lex came out about the same time as Farscape.
It was on Sci-Fi, like it was on after
Sci-Fi. they did like movies first. They did like two or a movie or
after
movies.
Farscape.
And then they right around the time Farscape hit, they put it into like a regular. It only went like
Xena and Hercules did
3 seasons, I want to say. Did they do 3 seasons of Lex? I actually knew somebody in Florida that was a huge Lex fan. They actually had a Lex convention in Nova Scotia in Halifax of all places. I don't know how they chose
odd
that
place for a convention.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of odd too, but that they were. I know, I was like, wow. So what was it, like 15 of you guys that were a fan of that show, or?
And it tripled the population of the town.
Yeah. Right.
Rob says The Matrix and he says Blade Runner. Yeah,
Blade Runner,
2 good options.
That's a good one. There's
and your wife says Fringe, which Fringe is another big one with multi-seasons.
She was the one that watched that. I didn't watch.
She can guest host for that one.
You'd have to guess. She'd take my place for that one. Hey, she can talk more than me. So if you think I babble.
Hey, they just arrived at Lost in Paradise.
Yeah. Yeah, I figured, have a little entertainment behind us in case anybody really gets distracted.
Lost in Paradise.
So, what are our final thoughts on this? Went really quick this hour, I'll tell you that.
2 very enthusiastic thumbs up. We love people either love or hate this movie, and we are clearly lovers.
I can't say I've ever met anybody that hated it.
Oh, I found some hatred. As I was doing my background research, I found a lot of hatred.
I've seen people that never saw it, but I can't say I've run into a lot of people that actually had open hatred towards it. I don't understand. If you don't hate them, just don't watch it.
Some people don't get it at all. They're like, it's a hot mess. The script doesn't make sense. And it's like, no, you're not
looking deep enough.
Yeah, you're not.
Into the shallowness.
It's like, what are you looking for? I mean, it's not. It's
not 2001.
I don't know. They saw it.
Yeah,
they thought it was going to be Die Hard in space or something. I don't know.
It kind of is in a way.
Well, Corbin negotiated.
He negotiated. Yeah, he negotiated.
Where did he learn to negotiate like that?
I
wonder.
Oh well.
I mean, music. Let's change the beat.
Yep, I know this tune. Yeah.
I know this tune. Let's change the beat. Oh, and then he's putting the card in, and it's counting down. 8, 7. Drop the card. 6. Drop the card. hard.
Well, that's because you
5.
always have to do that. You know, every
You have to
movie, it's
drop
always
it,
stops
like in
at like
Galaxy
the
Quest,
last
you drop
second.
it.
And,
You know,
then,
it's-
and then the Mangalore's bomb wakes up and it's
Oh, yeah.
at the same
Well, you notice
time.
the Mangalore's remote is just a high school locker combination lock
Combination key,
without
yep.
the lock part.
Same thing
It
on
looked
top
like,
of
but it
the
looked
like
like
a-
the
it's
same
just-
combo off the bomb
it's
that
just-
Bruce had. The
Yeah, it's the
time
same.
one.
It's the same dial on the
The count to 10 bomb.
Right, but I mean, it's a lock combination that they had. Everybody had.
And he just turned it once, and that was it. That's all he had to do.
Yep.
For the
And
honor.
it
With a
picked
light
up the
on it.
count.
Had a little light in the center, so it lit up when he turned it.
It picked up the count at the same point that
Oh, so that's a
Zorg
really
stopped
so.
his.
Speaking of Zorg, and then Zorg dies because he blows up with the
Right, he
ship.
blows up in
Yeah.
the ship.
This is a movie where the good guy Corbin and the bad guy Zorg never hit face to face, never have a face
Never
off,
interact.
never communicate, never talk to each other.
No,
They
Yep.
completely
the closest is
is the elevator.
him shooting. Well, that, but Zorg shooting at Lilu. You know,
Yeah, the
in an
closest
air
would be
duct.
Zorg shooting at
The
Lilu.
closest
and
they
then
actually have in any kind of contact.
they all get in one elevator as Zorg gets off the other elevator.
Yep.
That's it. So there's no like
and they promptly steal his
Uh-huh.
ship.
Yep. So, well, have we run out of things to talk about this?
Oh God, no! How about that?
no, you never
scene
have.
When the grenades goes off or about to go off. That man is the best male screamer I have ever heard in my entire life.
Yeah, I mean, Chris Tucker again, casting was perfect. I mean, it just
Yeah.
he shoots around us and falls through the. But yeah, his of course everything he's done has been pretty funny. I mean, he was pretty funny with Jackie Chan.
Oh, High Noon.
No.
Not High Noon. Rush Hour?
Rush
Rush
Hour.
Hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which one of you all kick me?
Which one of you all kicked me?
So yeah, he's just really good. So, all right. Well, I guess we'll wrap it up. I noticed on our little ticker that we're slowly losing people.
We're losing people.
Good night, everyone.
People are like, we've heard enough of these idiots.
You say
So-
you miss us, and yet you just try to talk to us. You never let us.
I know, right? So, well, thanks everybody for coming.
was a blast.
Really,
Thank you
this
for
is
having
really a lot of fun.
It was a
Thank you,
blast.
Kent, for coming.
Cheers to
We'll
all
definitely
of you out
have
there.
you back. Salud.
Salud. Thank you
And
for having me very
we will
much.
see you guys next week with Roy as we talk about Flash Gordon.
Flash.
Flash.
You didn't need to hear that. Sorry to leave you on that horrible note.
Oh.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Say good night, Gracie.